We already know users can log in using code from the authenticator apps. Let's make sure users are also able to log in using their recovery codes. For that, we need to modify the two-factor authentication challenge controller. So instead of just checking for the authentication code, we're going to include checking for the recovery code also. So I'm going to have an if check, which will check if the recovery code the user entered is part of the user's recovery codes. That is, user recovery codes includes, they will pass to it the code the user entered. Remember, a code is coming from the input field on the challenge form. So code here can be the code from the authenticator app or a recovery code. So here we are checking that the code that the user entered is inside the user's recovery codes. If the code is inside, then we will allow the user to log in with it. And also, we will remove it from the list of recovery codes for that user because we want the recovery codes to be used only once. So await user merge. So we're going to update the two-factor recovery codes field. User recovery codes filter. This will accept the recovery code and we'll simply check where the recovery code is not the one the user entered. Then we'll persist the changes to the database. What we are doing here is we are filtering the user's recovery codes and removing the one that the user just used, such that the used code can't be reused because it is no longer part of the user's recovery codes. So this will check for the recovery codes. So we are going to have an else if. That will also check for the code from the authenticator app. So first we check if it's a recovery code. Otherwise, we will verify the code to be the code coming from an authenticator app. If the entered code is part of the user recovery codes, we will remove the code from the user's recovery code and log them in as before. But if the code is not part of the user's recovery codes, then the execution will move to this block, that is the else if. Then it will try verifying the code to ensure it's coming from the authenticator app. If it's able to verify it, then we will log in as before. Otherwise, we are going to flash an appropriate message when we are unable to verify the token or when the token is not part of the user's recovery codes. So that is all to do to allow users to either log in with recovery codes or the code from the authenticator app. Let's head over to the browser and try this out. I'm going to log out and log back in. First, I'm going to try entering a wrong recovery code. And as expected, we got the appropriate error message. Now I'm going to log in with a correct recovery code. You can use any of these. So I'm just going to pick one. And sure, we are logged in. Now, if we view the recovery codes, we should see that the one we just used is no longer part of the recovery codes. And if I log out and log back in and try to use that code, I should get an appropriate message of not being able to log in. To ensure that everything is working as expected, I'm going to log in using the code from my authenticator app. And sure, everything is working as expected.